Hi guys, this is Faust here with GACC Podcast. We did really have some sort of holiday thing lined up, but unfortunately plans fell through. So we're going to go ahead and give you a special holiday treat and post one of our earliest episodes that we recorded. This is when we were still figuring out all of our tech and stuff, so expect sound quality to suffer and video quality and lighting and us generally just being naff at everything. But otherwise, we want to wish you a happy holiday. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for supporting us. And of course, continue to comment, like, subscribe, and let us know what you think. We do appreciate it there. So happy holidays. Was it like luscious Kwanzaa and Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and all that other fun stuff, and we will see you guys for the holiday for the new year. I believe we'll probably have something up for the new year, so take care.
And welcome everyone. This is the Jenny Fedora GACC podcast. We're going to be covering games, anime, collectibles, and computer hardware. The goal is we are going to be looking at everything that's happened this week, and we're going to take and talk about it. Today, I'm your host, Harrison. To my left is...
Hi, I'm Faust.
And to my right...
I'm James.
And we're going to be talking about everything that's been happening for this week. So, I think the big thing that's been coming out this week, even after E3 and everything, but hardware related, has been the Nvidia 1080 and 1070 cards.
Indeed, it has created a lot of waves.
And it's going to be amazing. Well, it is amazing. It is amazing.
I'm waiting for some reports back from people that have been using it, but all indications say that it's supposed to set higher benchmarks for a cheaper price point and basically blow the current GPU cycle out of the water.
Did you happen to see that Nvidia has actually gotten itself into a slight scandal with this again?
Again?
I wouldn't be surprised,
Right.
but I didn't see.
So MSI and Asus was sending out to testers. They were sending out 1080 cards that were pre-overclocked.
Oh,
so
that's about as bad as fucking Volkswagen and the diesel thing.
Right.
Right. So it was pre-overclocked, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my jeez.
So basically, this is skewing benchmarks because they slap it in. This is it at stock, but it's already pre-overclocked. And this is not the first time that...
Yeah, they did that in the, was it, not the 7 series, the ones before, right? 6 series?
Maybe in the 6 series, but maybe before. And it wasn't necessarily an overclocking issue, because this one's like the Volkswagen thing. They went back and go, wait a minute, MSI and Asus has been doing this for years for their NVIDIA cards. But they've got...
So it's not directly NVIDIA.
No. It's the retailers, MSI and Asus, who are notorious for sending out the Nvidia cards. So they've been overclocking those cards for years, just like the Volkswagen scandal. It helps skews benchmarks at a stock level. So it's kind of cheating the market. But as you're were saying, yes, they got involved in a scandal before Nvidia actually did, and it was their drivers, they were specifically tweaking them for 3D Mark so that they would get better performance in 3D Mark, in the benchmarking tools. And in real world scenarios, they were just being craptastic cards. But
Well, I know for a fact that NVIDIA companies, the NVIDIA and its satellite companies, aren't exactly, they don't possess the most saintly of track records, we'll say. I mean, and it's because any business is really kind of a cutthroat world. But even then, willfully misleading customers with testing benchmarks and things like that, I'm not sure. That's sort of like lying to the gaming press about a video game. Or it's like a pre-rendered trailer. It's like the Watch Dogs thing. You know how Watch Dogs looks so much better in like the gameplay demo and the trailer and everything, and it was absolute sandboxy crap when it came out. So I could see that this is becoming a unfortunate norm within the entertainment and the at least the gaming industry. I'm not sure if that's going to be a complete PC industry. It would be interesting to see if they do this with a more business-oriented chipset than a gaming chipset. Because right now, I think the 1080, 1070 or whatever is a gaming chipset.
Yeah,
it's not really going to be used for a lot of anything.
Well, they've never done it with a business chipset, because business chipsets are not the ones that are actually getting really benchmarked, and they're not the ones that are really being bought by the consumers. And in the business side, what happens in the consumer market kind of leads people's bias to the business side anyways. So it is a big deal, that way too. We'll see what ends up happening when they get stuff together. And I mean, we're hitting a new CPU cycle, or not CPU, GPU cycle.
GPU, yeah, we're in a new GPU.
And we are actually in a new CPU cycle too.
And I will say this, even with the benchmarks and everything that's pointed out, the most technically stressing game for any system currently is Doom with the id Tech 6 engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few games that will actually kind of come up to that muster. It's the id Tech engine that's basically designed with a future technology in mind in a lot of senses. And even then, the 1080 blows the specs for Doom out of the water. Like, you can get a generation lower than the 1080 and still run Doom just fine. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that this 1080 is sort of more of a future-proofing standpoint at this point, that you don't really need it unless you're one of those bleeding-edge early adopter kind of people.
So AJ's husband.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have it if you don't want to upgrade your system for the next, 5 years, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and even then, I mean, it's 2 or 3 year old tech is still maintaining with today's games at high resolutions, at 1080, as long as you're not running 4K.
4K VR.
Well, even VR will actually still do too, because depending on when you bought, it's what was it? 2-3 years ago, it was the R9 290Xs and the 7 series Nvidia's,
Mm-hmm. Well, my 660 Ti even said that it was VR ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's...
No, it didn't. It said I needed the 760.
It said you needed
It said I needed the 760.
Okay, that makes more sense, because, I mean, the 7 series was pretty solid there for a while. But the other thing that's coming out that's also interesting with the 1070s and the 1080s, is finally starting to kind of see the market. So ATI is actually releasing end of this month, June 29th, they're going to be releasing their new
Radeon,
the RX 480, and there's a couple others below it, but the RX 480 is the flagship. So what's interesting here to see is a couple of things. Number one, we have a video card that's supposed to be $200, and it's VR ready, and a lot of people go, "What?"
Yeah. That's the $200 VR system. Well, because right now I think the major thing that's killing VR as far as in the consumer market is the price point. Because the MSRPs that we are seeing for a VR system that won't even function standalone are ranging from $400 to $800, and then you need a system that's capable of running it, and then you need God knows what else to actually make it possible. Like the PlayStation VR, they dropped their price. The thing it's for PlayStation VR, they dropped the price and said it was $500.
It's $400, but as soon as you put in the cameras or the remotes, then it starts to go back up to $500.
Yeah, but then they quietly mention as an afterthought in the press release that it requires the PlayStation camera, and that's sold separately. This is not included in the actual VR kit. So you could buy a VR kit for the PS4, and it won't function until you pay more money
for a camera
for it to function.
Yeah.
That's almost as bad as what they did with Zelda 4 Swords back in the day on the Game Boys. We needed 4 Game Boys and a GameCube to play a fucking Zelda game. Come on.
Yeah, so
no one wants that.
Yeah. I mean, so right now it's VR. It's I mean, the price, the entry point of the PCs is $600 for the Oculus, $800 for the Vive, just in itself, and then for systems that are supposed to be able to run it that are VR ready, I think those systems are. Maybe you can get away with an $800 system.
I'd say it's an $800. It's $800 at least
minimum.
Yeah, but a lot of it's going to be driven by the graphics card. So they're putting out a $200 graphics card that can upgrade any system to be VR ready, and it's supposed to be a flagship one. And on top of it, it uses a lot less energy wattage wise than previous generation Radeons. The RX 480 is a TDP of 150 watts versus all the others were wanting 300 watts, so they require at least a 450 watt power supply minimum. So you're going down on the wattage, But
It's not bad.
no, it's not. And that was the big thing also with the NVIDIA cars is the wattage went down there too.
I've always been confused about power consumption and everything like that, because when I first started building computers, all your computer needed was a power supply. Like the wattage, that was required for different components and things like that didn't figure into it. But this is back in like the Pentium 2, Pentium 3 days, where a generic power supply was just standard for any computer, as far as I knew. And I was young and dumb, and so when it got up to building the current system that I have now, and people are like, "What's your power supply?" You're going to make sure you need one. You need one with like specific voltage on this rail. You know, you need 750 watts, 1,000 watts to run the video cards that you're going to be running and to run all the processing and everything like that. I'm like, this is all news to me. This is the level of technical detail for building a computer that I never like. I want to put the box together and play Magic pictures on the screen. Like all of this heavy stuff. Like they always make it more difficult than it needs to be. But then again, they make it easier as well.
Well, they haven't actually made it more difficult. What's happened over time is that the graphics cards have evolved to a point where they're actually requiring more dedicated power. Sure, back in our pleb days where we didn't have like OpenGL, we didn't have everything like that. You know, what it was like
back in the 2D card days.
Yeah, it was like back in like Quake was, I think, the first true 3D game that they actually had a 3D add-on for. You still didn't need it because there wasn't much processing power or video power really needed. But
I think that like Quake was the first true 3D game, but the first game that I remember seeing that actually had OpenGL or GL graphics was Descent. Or was it Descent? Descent or Descent 2?
It was Descent 2. Descent was still software. There was a patch for the original Quake that turned on OpenGL where you could have, reflections in the mirrors. You could have shininess in the water and everything like that. It was called like GL Quake. GL Quake. And this was the first where the first battles really started, and that was back in the Voodoo 2. That was Voodoo 1 even. Voodoo 1 days. The very first like NVIDIA cards, like Rage 128s or something. And
this is bringing up lots of memories,
right?
Yeah,
wow, that's.
But I haven't heard these names in a long time.
But we'll get to them here in a bit, considering that we have we have a
retro.
We have a retro 20th anniversary for Quake, so we're going to get into this talk here in a bit. But that aside, I mean, the big thing is like, these video cards now are requiring their own power connectors. And
like proprietary?
It's like a 6-pin power connector or a 6 plus 8 pin.
The one I just installed had 2 6-pins.
Right.
And my power supply had a 4-pin and a little 2-pin off the side and a 6-pin on the same one. And I mean, trying to get that thing to fit in cable management style, my hands hurt afterwards, like having to force that shit together. I'm sitting there worried I'm going to snap the card or something like that. Bend a connector. Oh, God. I haven't done that since, God, I can't remember.
Forever.
Yeah. So you were wanting to get to...
So what I want to get to on this with the video cards is, I mean, and just cut this short, basically, the video cards nowadays, a lot of the times, are much more of a power processing house than the actual CPU is, which is why all that power's come up. I mean...
Yeah, but it's a dedicated processing unit.
Yeah, for graphics, but the thing is that it's being used for computations nowadays too, and that's what happened.
Physics and fluids, right?
Physics, fluids, Bitcoin mining, algorithms and everything like that. That's what caused a shortage about 3 years ago with a lot of the higher end video cards.
Oh yeah, there was a shortage.
There was a shortage.
Because Bitcoin just blew up.
Yeah, Bitcoin blew up, Lincoin blew up, and everything like that. But
boy, I bet some of you feel really silly about grabbing hold of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're one of them, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I mean,
Bitcoin was amazing. Just have it blow up like that. And,
Bitcoin.
If it made you money, it made you money.
So the thing that I see here is sort of, like you're saying, AMD kind of promised the Radeon RX 480.
Yeah, so the X480, but they leaked specs on. This is what I want to get to.
Yeah.
So the card's actually not been released yet. It's just now starting to get into hardware review people to actually review the card. But they leaked specs on this card, and this is what's crazy. The the leak specs for 3D Mark showed two RX 480s in Crossfire was outperforming the GTX 1080.
Yeah.
This is where it becomes interesting. You buy two $200 cards,
And it
$400. You outperform a GTX 1080, and you save yourself $200.
I've been very reluctant to do any kind of dual card setup, mostly because I've never really had the opportunity to have the same card twice over and get it set up in my system. And I'm worried because I hear horror stories about what happens when you mess something like that up.
I haven't had any problems. I had the 260s, two of them.
Which ones?
260, long time ago.
Two 260s?
Mm-hmm. Two 260s.
The Nvidia 260s?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So that was SLI.
I've done...
I was?
Yeah.
I did in Crossfire. I did the 3870s, and I've also done the 4870s.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is I will agree that for a while here you haven't really needed to Crossfire because the cars got to the point where they had enough performance on their own, and where it wasn't needed. But back in the day, it was needed, and as long as you know what you were doing. Whether it was Crossfire or SLI, it worked. I mean, we were SLIing back in 97.
You make it sound like drugs in high school or something.
It kind of
We were
was.
SLIing all over the place.
We did that.
Yeah, it was such a secret. We did it in the back, behind the
Back,
dumpsters.
we just hooked up the cables.
You know the lunchroom
and two
dumpsters?
video cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of was. I mean, because back in the so history lesson here for all those people that are young and haven't experienced the joys of everything where it comes from. Back in the day, don't comment.
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
Matlock.
Yeah. Get your Matlock out of the
Come
way.
on back in the day.
Okay, get your Matlock out of the way. I'm gonna get a rocker, okay? Because trust me, I got the chops for this.
No, they discontinued our rockers.
The gaming rockers.
Yeah, the gaming rockers. Like that was gonna be like that was my story. It's like I was gonna be an old man in my rocker, playing video games.
You know what? I still have my gaming rocker.
I had mine for a long
Probably
time.
because it killed animals.
Killed animals, crushed fingers, hurt pets. Yeah, like you had to be careful with them. But that was the thing. It's like it's the same reason why we put it's hot on hot coffee. Is there's somebody did something stupid, and so if you're careful with something, if you know the dangers of operating it, anything is dangerous enough to kill somebody.
Yes. Well, that's the so back to
the Radeon RX 480.
Basically back to Quake days, about
Quake
20
days,
years ago.
yeah.
Okay, because this was about the same time. I was actually about a year later because it's more like Quake 2, you know. So the big hotness on the market back in what I think 97 at that point, basically 97, 98 was the Voodoo 2 cards. This was the first real dedicated 3D card by itself. Okay, there was an 8 meg model and a 12 meg model, and this was an add-on card that you installed in the system.
You think about it, somebody had this conversation. It has 12 whole megs.
It was huge.
It was huge.
And I'll explain why this is huge here in a minute. Now, the thing is you had to install this in a PCI slot, and then you had your regular 2D card in a PCI slot. And usually a 4 or 8 meg card didn't really matter. Mm-hmm. Now, this is where this whole SLI thing came from. Voodoo, 3DFX started this technology. Nvidia bought them. And this is where we have SLI from. But you could actually buy, another one of these cards. And at the time, they were $300 for a 12 meg model card, if I recall.
That's what prevented me from ever getting one.
Yeah. So you have your $100 video card, $80 or $100 regular video card. You have this $300 card. Now you go ahead and get a second Voodoo 2 card, 12 meg card,
A second $300 card.
$300 card, slam it in your system. So we're at $700. We're at the same price point as somebody that's probably buying a GeForce 1080 Founders Edition today. Okay, pretty close. And
except you cut out all the stuff of like the other things about building a computer. But sure,
$700. This is just the video. This is just the video.
This is just the video setup.
This is just the video setup. Okay, this is
like you need a processor that can handle that. You need memory that can handle that.
Yeah, but this is I have this stuff, and I'm gonna buy the $700 worth of video so I can be the god of gaming at the highest resolution, at the max FPS, with everything turned on and the mods installed, and I'm just going to EP all over my friends. Nowadays is the internet, but that's
the thing about it was it used to be that you needed a system. The system you had was your own personal experience with a video game, because LAN connections were about the only way that you could game multiplayer or have other people share the experience with you reliably. Internet was still way too slow for anything like that. So when you had something like you had to EP about, it was like, my experience is so much better than yours because I have so much better capability with my system. But as the internet took over, nowadays the systems need to keep up with the multiplayer experience with both online and local.
Yeah.
Except online seems to be the way it is these days. Local is almost an afterthought in a lot of games.
Yeah, it is.
And that's sad.
But so let's get back here real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got these two video cards, and the reason was, first off, is you could do OpenGL or Slide graphics back in the day at
Slide or Glide?
Glide.
Yeah.
It was Glide. The big thing here was it was 800 by 600 in 800 by 600 resolution. Most games were 640 by 480. You get 800 by 600. They started having Mars come out, but you had to install that other video card to get up to 1024 by 768 to step up one resolution and keep everything, because it split it between the two cards, just like the SLI stuff does.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things now we're starting to kind of get back into with 4K. 4K is about the only place nowadays where you need two video cards. Or VR, you may need two video cards. And
don't you think 4K came about too quick?
No.
I mean, I know HD has been the tried and true standard for a lot of times and everything like that, but maybe it's just these old crappy eyes. But I don't really see much difference in 4K.
All I see on a 4K monitor typically is I'm squinting to see the icons.
Yeah, I mean, I can see almost a small jump in sharpness, in clarity of picture, motion, especially at higher frames per second. But in general, it's like, you know what? I grew up watching standard def on CRT. All of this stuff is sort of a leap, and now everything's like it has diminishing returns. So I don't know. 4K comes out, and it's like it's just a whole new reason to buy another $800 television and another Blu-ray player and another gaming system. Everything has to be 4K compatible.
Look, it's just the most recent version of e-peening. Okay, it used to be like the size of your monitor, or 720p, or why do I need HD and everything? It's just another iteration. It hasn't come on too fast at all. But with all of this, video card wise, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially when the benchmarks start to hit, to see how these new video cards can play, and if ATI is going to get back some share of the market by having a $200 card that's going to perform well. And that's how they've usually taken market share in the past, has been by price point, not necessarily performance, historically. Okay, I'm going to say historically, because there have been plenty of times that they have outperformed Nvidia, and I know somebody out there is going to get mad when
if you go by straight tech level, then Nvidia has kind of been stepping on ATI's throat for a long time. And
not 3 years ago they weren't.
But when you consider things like price point and system integration and compatibility, ATI has almost always kind of become the working man's GPU, as to Nvidia's kind of like a luxury vehicle deal. It's a nicer, smoother experience, but you have to put up with their software and their drivers and have their settings.
for Nvidia.
For Nvidia.
ATI does the same thing though.
Yeah.
And the biggest complaint has always been the catalyst drivers. But that's.
Yeah, I mean, I've used Nvidia more than I've ever used.
Yeah.
ATI.
Well, yeah, depends on people's thing. But the whole thing is really, for all this is we got, we have Quake. What I was coming back around to is Quake. We got Quake's 20th anniversary.
Yes, congratulations. Quake was probably the first good first-person shooter that I played ever since Doom.
And it really started to push where we are with these 3D cards nowadays is because of Quake. Now, did we hear about what was released? James, have you heard about what got released for Quake recently, the original Quake?
No, it was an extra level.
Not just an extra level. Wasn't a whole episode or mission they released for it?
We got it here right in front of here. So, brand new game episode, multiple levels.
Okay.
For the original Quake. And according to Engadget, which is where we're pulling the source information from, as soon as it loads, my poor computer is low battery right now. id Software basically, id Software started celebrating the 20th anniversary of Quake, and the people who developed Wolfenstein: The New Order, which are machine games, took the helm and decided to release a brand new episode of the game, downloadable for free. If you have the original game, you can play this episode. Go check out id's website or try looking machine games up. And the weird thing about it is how you get this thing to work. You have to download it in a zipped RAR file. You put it in a new folder inside the Quake directory. Then you run the game, start a new single player game, and then launch the file in the folder. So you basically have to hack Quake to play this new episode.
Huh, interesting.
You have to crack it open and tell it to do what you want it to do. And I'm hoping that this sounds like a really great thing, and it's a really great way to celebrate a classic video game that still a lot of people play. But I'm thinking this is going to open the floodgates for people to try new things with the Quake engine code.
Well, potentially. There was the other one that's running around out there was somebody did a HD remaster of the original Quake. Like they upped the amount of polygons in it.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was done like a year or so ago. That somebody remastered the original Quake, and it looks kind of crazy because I mean the old one's very triangly.
Yeah.
Anyways, but it's still interesting to see. Somebody out there is appreciating the originals enough that they're releasing a brand new level. Now, it'd be fun to see the whole episode be played through, and I'm curious if they're going to use this as some tie-in for the new Quake reboot that they're making now.
Yeah, but the Quake reboot they're making now is basically a Quake 3 arena-style deathmatch reboot, from what I've seen. Like, the teaser trailer basically implies they're bringing back the character loadouts from the Quake 3 days.
That'd be kind of cool.
Which kind of makes sense, because they did Quake 1 and Quake 2, and then 3 hit, and they were kind of like, eh. And then Quake 4 hit, and people were at least satisfied with that.
You're crazy. You're crazy. Quake 3 Arena.
Okay, I was like, eh.
Okay, Quake 3 Arena, we all went nuts over. That was amazing, because at that time...
Well, what do you think? Did you like Quake 3? No? Nah.
As an actual first-person shooter, that at the time actually went and competed in tournaments and played online and got together groups of people, we thought this was the cream of the crop, because we were sitting there, you could play with bots or you play against each other, and it was just all fast-paced deathmatch and everything like that. This was the epitome of a multiplayer experience that anybody wanted to emulate. So it threw the single-player game out the window. Wah. Go play 1,000 other different games that have a single-player thing. This was the best for multiplayer at the time and connecting over the internet. That's what made it so amazing.
It had good netcode.
Yes.
It really did. It both LAN and internet connectivity on Quake 3 were probably the best it had been at that time. But what I wanted to get to is after Quake 4, I think what they had was Quake Wars, the territory thing.
Oh, the Quake War.
Is Quake Wars the one that was...
That was the one that was sort of like an online always.
Yeah, I really didn't care for that one
kind of thing. Nobody did.
Nah.
Yeah, that thing came out and flopped harder than the Shadowrun shooter.
I think I
that
actually
360
have that
launch
game. I
was.
played it for like maybe a little bit. And
I
then
played
threw
the
it in
demo and I was
closet.
like, this is not Quake. This is not even a Quake 3 kind of thing. And now I will say, I was initially cold to the idea because I liked the Quake storylines. I liked both Quake 1 and I even liked the Quake 2 storyline. And even though looking back on it, yeah, it's kind of crap. You know, like Quake 2 is more of a tech demo than an actual story game.
Mm-hmm.
But Quake 3 had a story too.
Yeah.
And, you know, so they had at least some justification for why all of these people were getting put together in these death matches. It was a galactic contest.
Yeah.
I might be confusing that with Unreal Tournaments, but
Possibly.
no, Quake 3 had a ladder. It was, and they took it more of like the fighter game route. They had a ladder where you had to fight through different enemies and different teams. And sometimes they put you on teams, or sometimes, and then every now and then, no, most of the time they put you on teams, and then now and then you had a solo battle with the next tier up in AI difficulty if you were botting it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the very last one was this guy that was not available as a playable character. But he was basically like the dark sim, to even go even further back retro gaming wise, the dark sim of Quake 3. Now, I did warm up to Quake 3 when they released Quake Live, because I actually had a lot of fun rejoining that, re-exploring that.
But you were exploring the same thing that we explored basically back in
but
'99.
At that point, I wasn't old enough to be regretful for wasting all of my years hating video games that were actually quite fun.
Even if you had to play them with other people?
Even if I had to play them with other people. Now, in general, usually if they say, you should play with other people, we're going to put you in a random lobby with a bunch of other chuckle fucks. I'm like, nope. No, thank you. I'd rather know the people I'm playing with.
Chuckle fucks.
A bunch of chuckle fucks. That's pubbies to me. Public server denizens. They're chuckle fucks.
All right.
You know, other people call them pubes.
Yeah, but
I think I'd call, you know, if they get offended by me calling them chuckle fucks, fine, you're a pube. But
you might as well go play. I mean, the same argument can be played to anything. It doesn't matter if it's a first-person shooter or, you know, MMOs. I mean, you're going into a lobby with a bunch of chuckle fucks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what difference does it make?
Good point.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I didn't say anything. The whole concept of an online multiplayer thing where you're just thrown together with people who want to play the game. Granted, you're thrown together with people who actually want to play the game 70% of the time. And then the other 30% of the time, it's the people who want to make the experience shitty for you. And that's, you know, in my experience, that can ruin the entire game experience for me. It can ruin an entire evening's worth of playing the game because one person shows up and just bags on it completely.
Yeah.
You know, and they use any kind of way they can think of, hacking it, cheating, trolling everybody. I mean, it just destroys the whole concept. And there are plenty of games I can do that for free with and try to have a good experience, and I'll have it ultimately ruined for me. Or I can go and play one of the other 300 games I have with single-player story campaigns that are fully more entertaining.
You guys see the single-player mode they're adding to Titanfall 2?
Yes, I saw that they're adding a story
Did you see
mode.
the trailer to that?
That
thing looks amazing.
Titanfall 2.
Titanfall 2.
Titanfall
No,
2.
I was never really into... I was never really pulled in by Titanfall. Giant robots, like...
Well, the fact that they released Titanfall 1 and then not soon after that, what the other game got released and just dominated?
Battlefield 4.
No, not Battlefield. It was one that you and Tom play.
Destiny.
Destiny.
That
Yeah.
dropped and just dominated.
Well, Destiny wasn't very popular at the beginning either. It had a
Oh, it had
rocky
a lot of
launch.
bugs,
It had
man.
a lot of rocky launch.
Yeah.
like, and then they have
and-
like some kind of like cave or something where it was like glitched down. They finally fixed it.
I don't know. I
Anyways.
joined in well after the release of the Taken King, which was the first expansion.
Well,
And now they're coming up on a second expansion, which I'm excited for. Now, Titanfall, I never really got into Titanfall because, I mean, I just wasn't pulled in by it. And I wouldn't have been pulled into Destiny if it weren't for Tom saying we should play this together.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's about what it takes for me to get something, is having somebody I know who is good at the game wanting to play it with me.
Well, on the whole Titanfall thing, the first one was good. I mean, giant robots you got to climb into, and you had to take down.
Beautiful.
It
had issues though.
It had issues. It did have issues. I'll admit. I mean, it had issues, but it had. It was basically a multiplayer experience.
But now they're 100% invested in it. Not like last time. They're 100% into it, and it looks amazing.
Right. So it is a game worth checking out if you've ever been like a MechWarrior fan or Gundam fan or anything like that, where you just wanted to just run around in a big mech and squish little guys, and fight other mechs. This one,
McCrory Online is another one I liked.
MechWarrior Online, that was awful.
Well, I always thought the MechWarrior series in general, anything that I've seen of it gameplay-wise, is always these muddy textures and these robots kind of waddling around unidentifiable terrain, and that's when you can see for all the smoke and missile explosions. Mm-hmm. So
I like the second one. MechWarrior 2 was awesome.
MechWarrior 2, MechWarrior 3, MechWarrior 4, those were good games, and they weren't all muddy, but you kind of had to have some graphics for that back in the day, or else, yes, it did look like a bunch of.
Back in his day, he had to have a video card that goes back and forth in the snow, both ways.
All it is history repeating. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing about it is, like, with the speed that we have seen technology grow since we were around for its inception, the speed that we've seen it grow, and that it continues to grow at that speed. And we spent the better part of like the late 90s, early 2000s going, wait. Was, it kind of scares me that at some point technology is going to surpass the people after us, the people who grew up with this technology. It's going to surpass them in some fashion, and that scares me. As to what they can come up with that will do that.
It already is starting to. I mean,
what are you thinking, like VR 4K or?
No, think about smartphones.
I want a holodeck. That's all I want. It's a holodeck.
You want to fuck a holodeck, don't you?
No, I just want a holodeck. I expect, boom, and I can play the game. I'm in the game.
So you want the holodeck so you don't have to put anything on.
Yeah. Because I'm sorry, the virtual headsets right now look stupid.
Well, of course they look stupid,
but
you don't care how they look when you're wearing
true.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, when we get one in at some point.
We will have one, and I am excited that we get one.
Yeah. Are you going to try it?
A holodeck?
No.
Yeah, when we get a holodeck.
Yeah, a holodeck. Sure. I'm going to take.
You want to come play in my holodeck?
Right?
Yeah.
If you get a VR set, I'll try it out.
Okay. Because we're gonna get one in at some point. We're gonna most likely set up a larger size room like this to do the VR in, so that way you have room
this room
to
would actually
move.
be good for.
It's
VR.
just a lot of the VR stuff I've seen. I'm like, that's not really like you're playing with a dog. Great. How about get a real dog and go play with a dog? Why do I need a virtual dog so I can sit there and go, oh, good boy?
Because with a virtual dog, you don't smell the poop.
No, you virtually smell it.
No, you just virtually see it. You don't smell it. You don't have to worry about.
What you got to be worried about is the guy who goes, "Oh, look, virtual dog poop," and like picks it up, throws it around, or rubs it on him. And it's like,
now you're getting weird, guys.
Somebody's going to do that because
it's digital.
Well, you got what was it that Catastrophe game? They finally did a VR release of it where basically you run around as a cat and you knock shit off shelves.
Oh yeah, that's Oh god, I can't remember the name of it.
I don't see the point of that.
It's be a cat. You're given different levels, and like you start in the bedroom, and the idea is to jump on every surface and knock everything like on the desk and on the shelves and in the closet shelves and everything like that off onto the floor. And I think it's like Cat Simulator or something like that.
It's like it's like Cat Simulator or Asshole Cat or something like that.
Surface is dead.
But the thing about it,
Goodbye, Surface.
The thing that's nice about it though is if you think about it, it allows you to get out stress. Because you just get to wreck shit in a virtual environment. You don't have to worry about having to pick it up afterwards. And so, there are people that just will go sometimes rent out rooms and just like scream or break things and whatnot. And here you get to do it in a virtual environment.
Like, could you, like, let's put it this way. There was something that I've always said I would do if I won the lottery. And this is just one of my eccentric things. And this is something I would do if I had a holodeck. Is I would like to go into a grocery store aisle. Like, pick your favorite aisle. The chips or the cookies or, whatever. Spaghetti, like anything like that, spaghetti sauce. And I just like to go into a grocery store and be like, I'm buying this aisle. like, if you want to come in and ring it all up for me and I'll pay first, but I'm going to buy this aisle and these people are cleaners that I just brought in with me. I'm going to wreck the shit out of that aisle. Like, I'm talking like grab 2 bags of chips and just go down the aisle grabbing 2 bags of chips every like 10 steps. And chips flying everywhere. Just see how far I can throw a whole pack of cookies. Just, explore the intricacies of shattering spaghetti sauce.
I had anger management.
Oh, no, man. It's not anger management. It is complete, like, utter chaotic fun. Just making a fucking mess.
Okay. So we are getting...
I suppose, yeah.
So we're getting low on time for
this little test recording.
For this, test recording
if
episode.
any of you see this, we've done something wrong.
Yeah. Or we've done something right.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Wrong.
So as we're getting low on time, I want to make sure we talk about the Steam Summer Sale. So Steam Summer Sale's out now, and it's going through July 4th. So James, Steam Summer Sale's out. Mm-hmm. Have you hid your wallet?
My wallet's on fire. It's already inside the CD tray. As my friend said, you put it in the CD tray, cry a little.
Actually, so the Steam Summer Sale hit, and I was excited for it and everything like that. And I've seen 1 or 2 titles that I really do want to get and things like that. But I have 2 things that are really kind of protecting me from the Steam Sale this year. My wallet is empty, and I already own all the Steam games I want. That's the reason. If you go look at my Steam account, it's 190 games there. And then more on GOG and more on Origin and more for consoles. Mm-hmm. And that's just the games I own, not the games I have access to. I could borrow games from you. I can borrow games from the other roommates in the house. So, 300 games to play. So the Steam sale hits, and I'm like, I don't really want to. And like, got it.
Here's that meme where the Steam person walks in, just smacks him in the face, and he just tells you, buy something.
More. Yeah, buy something.
Buy something.
So
there's something out there.
So the only ones that I saw that I want to get are the Talos Principle and the new Shadowrun, because Shadowrun Returns was a really great one, and I got the other one. So the Shadowrun Hong Kong, I think is it Hong Kong?
Yeah, it's Hong Kong.
Yeah, Shadowrun Hong Kong. I want to get that because I've liked the other 2.
You should fill out your DLC for
the Borderlands series.
No, Saints Row.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Like us both like why?
Yeah.
Because they're good games.
Well, they are
DLC.
good. They are good games.
I'm not a fan. Sorry.
And the DLC I saw for the Saints Row, the DLC I saw for Saints Row 3, and I haven't really looked at Saints Row 4, but was just new costumes and new homies that you would call to show up and fight for you.
They have 2 new episodes for Saints Row 4.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
if it was extra content, I might consider picking that up.
Which is the newest one, the one where he goes to hell, right?
That's
Get Out of Hell.
Get Out of Hell, rather.
Get Out of Hell. I think that's a standalone, actually.
It's actually a standalone.
Yeah, you can get Out of Hell, and you don't need Saints Row 4.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
But, that's following kind of after Saints Row 4. So, basically, you have hardly anything on your list because...
Okay. Well, I have things on my list, but even if I had something on my list, I'm like, Well,
why don't you get all the add-ons for Hyperdimension Neptunia?
I already have Hyperdimension.
But you have all the add-ons.
And I have the add-ons.
Like, I'd want to finish out
so,
my Borderlands DLC, and that's about it.
Okay.
So,
James, besides Hyperdimension, you have Hyperdimension Neptunias on your list.
I'm going to buy them tonight, actually.
All of them?
All 3.
All 3.
Yep.
What including
the
other
other 3?
That's going to include all the DLCs.
What about the side games?
There's only one side game, and I don't want it.
I thought there's 2.
I have the other one on my PSP.
So because it doesn't really describe anything, to those people who are uninitiated, Hyperdimension Neptunia is
anime.
It's an anime. Okay, is it a old world anime, a modern world anime, or a future sci-fi anime?
Mm-hmm. And
it's all 3.
It's I would say future.
It's future
because it's more in the future.
Right.
And then the video games is based off of that, which is kind of cool because it's a
JRPG
game.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because I like the first one that's on the PS3 that I own.
Yeah.
It's each dungeon you go into, you fight pixelated versions of different characters, some old school games like Galactica, all these other stuff. It has like classic video games that we're used to.
And so when you're fighting,
and you fight them as monsters in a dungeon.
So when you're fighting, is it like different classes of characters? Are there swords? Are there guns?
Yeah, just like Final Fantasy.
Is there hacking?
No hacking. So I would say somewhat futuristic, but not to the point of hacking. Because have you ever played Warframe? You could do hacking on that one, but Warframe's kind of like Destiny, but it was before Destiny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an RPG game just like Final Fantasy. You're walking in a dungeon and suddenly screen shatters and music plays and you're fighting.
in a battle.
Yeah, you're in a battle, and
Yeah.
you have a battle sequence where you turn by turn basis with each character.
All right.
So it's fun.
So you got anything else on your list besides that?
I'm pretty sure I have like 48 stuff on my wish list.
You got 48 things on your list. So okay,
Yeah,
so,
probably
so,
more.
so your wallet is going to be really
Crying.
really crying.
Yeah,
I mean,
if I decide to buy those games.
your wallet's taking it dry.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
dude, there's a lot of games out there. I want a lot of stuff for Borderlands 2 because I'm almost done with that game too.
Okay.
Yeah, if you get all the DLC, I'll run through the DLC with you because
Yeah,
I haven't done it for
I
Borderlands
just bought.
2.
I'm not gonna lie. I bought a costume for my character. If you saw it when we were playing the other
For
day.
shame.
I
You
was
bought
like-
some cosmetic DLC.
Right? I was like, it was 99
you,
cents.
sir, are part of the problem.
It was $1. I was like, here's your $1. Give me the costume.
Yeah.
Did you buy the horse armor?
Was it a
in
good?
Skyrim?
Was it a good costume?
No, dude.
You didn't buy the horse armor,
No, it was.
but you bought the costume.
I bought a costume for Borderlands 2.
What was the costume like for what character?
It was for
Was it
the
the
Necromancer.
Necromancer? Okay.
And I bought like this punk style one.
Oh, is it the one I saw you wearing? Were you wearing it when you? Oh,
I
okay.
was
Yeah, it's this kind of punky sort of. It's almost a moe anime kind of looking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
yeah.
See, I like anime.
He couldn't have really avoided buying it.
Okay.
And it was only 99.
It was,
It was only
it
99
was like,
cents.
here's your-
Okay.
here's
It's
a
like
dollar.
it's like if the Necromancer or the Siren had like a goth costume, I'd probably buy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like Macklemore went, shit, it was 99 cents. I was like, here you go.
Don't we love microtransactions? Sometimes.
Not really. I hate them.
So we were winding this down. I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
This is the inaugural episode 0
Cool.
of Games, Anime, Computer, Hardware.
Games, animes, collectibles.
Games, Animes, Collectibles. Which if you buy those, you are part of the problem. Let me tell you about a thing called Beanie Babies.
These are the Beanie Babies of this
Don't make me
generation.
pull out. I have
Please
a couple
don't pull
of sealed.
Right? We're in the middle of podcasting here, and you're going to do something
Like we're gonna
indecent?
ban from
Come on.
YouTube. You pull out.
Okay. And on that note, we're going to shut this down. Thank
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, James, for your time tonight. Hopefully, we'll see you again.
Yeah,
next week. Faust, good seeing you again.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll figure out if we're hitting enough stuff in the week, or if we have to kind of split up and focus more on one thing. But
I don't know, with the sheer amount of stuff that we posted before.
yeah, sheer amount of
Like,
stuff and
we
everything
only
that's
covered
out.
like 3 of them.
Yeah,
Alright.
we got through only a
Alright.
few things.
Well, we'll
so
see you guys next week.
It's been a pleasure. See you guys.
that's pretty much it.
So, come on, guys. You still can be at the forefront of content creation. You can still be a platform for people to